Tonight are John Brown, Anita Pallenberg, Nicky Haslam, and Marianne Faithful. This album that you have now. What I think is so interesting is that you say now, which is the opposite of what many babes say about themselves, is that this is your peak. Well, do you feel it's your peak?
One of them. I think I've had a few. It's, valleys and peaks, you know. But I think it is one of them, yeah. I feel it is, because I'm more in command, and I like that.
Is that how you define a peak, that you're awake and you know what you're doing?
No. There have
been
to me
peaks.
Sleepwalking peaks. But no, they weren't peaks. Yes, I do. I think conscious. A peak is something you know.
You're awake.
Where you're really there. But I mean, I'm awake a lot of the time now. So I think it's strength.
Yeah.
I just like being strong and able for it.
Do you ever think it's a tragedy, and this is a no-win one, if I knew now, when I had those looks, do you ever think if I had the strength I have now, when I looked like a little angel from heaven?
If I had known, yeah, I'd love to have all this, what knowledge I've got and what command I've got, and be 18. It would be fun.
The compensation looks that she has, and had, even more so, wouldn't work with the sort of work you do now.
No.
No, it would be grotesque.
It's the compensation for growing old. I mean, you've got to have some advantages of being old, and one of them is you're much more in control of your life. Yeah. So it's better to spread out the advantages. You look good when you're young, but you're an arsehole, and when you're older, you're in control.
Were you aware of your face
when? I wasn't even aware. I wasn't aware of anything.
What were you aware of? There must have been one thing.
I was aware that I was traveling from one place to another, and I'd always speak another language, basically. And I was never at home, so I never really feel like a home. I feel like a gypsy.
Still?
Yeah.
You're not. Are you similar now? Because you kind of had parallel lives. Do you feel now that she's very together and very strong? Do you feel you're at your peak?
No. I'm not feeling a peak now.
Have you had a peak?
No.
Are you going to have one? How much time do we have to have?
I'm waiting for.
Did you know each other?
Yeah.
How did you meet?
I don't know.
At a party.
At a party, I think, yeah. Or a concert.
Do you remember the first party?
No.
No.
And do you remember what she was like? Do you remember what he was like?
He was very, very good-looking.
Handsome.
A lot of fun. Well, actually, very kind.
You were rather wanting to be not educated. Is the wrong word.
I was your pupil.
Yeah, in a sense, yes.
Is that what's irresistible to men? To be like a beauty and to be inquiring? Because maybe the reason I didn't score is because I felt I knew better. But
how can you say you're still going on about you didn't score? You've scored. You've scored.
Oh, I scored now, but I didn't score when I was 17, and I really can't get over that. You know, when I should have been having rampant sex, there was nothing.
In America.
I don't think I could have survived what you did. I don't think I could have survived it. I think I would have died. Seriously.
If you would have had a hot shot or some bad drugs. But
speak to me, Anita. Pull the cigarette away.
If you had the bad drugs, you would have died. Otherwise, you wouldn't have died.
Nicky, do you think back at drugs? I mean, are you envious that,
I'm envious of anybody who had them, because I'm practically bad at it.
Were you good at it when you were younger?
Didn't do it.
He wasn't bad.
He never did it?
No,
well, I don't remember doing drugs with you, but I thought everyone was on drugs.
Were you fun?
Oh, yeah.
Not much, no.
No. Well, how have you risen to where you are today? What's your secret? Well, you're here.
Yes, I'm here, that's true.
Yeah, and you know a lot of people. What's your charm then?
He's got a very good job.
What do you mean, because he designs people's homes? I know other designers and we hate their guts.
I don't know what
I like my friends who are designers of people.
I'm a good friend.
Because were you born wealthy?
No.
Where were you? Were you middle class?
No, upper class.
Oh, very.
Yeah. You went to Eton?
You can tell by the way he speaks.
Yeah.
Well, he could have faked it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'd know.
My mother was quite grand.
Was she grand? And so she knew a lot of people.
A certain amount, yeah.
Who?
She was very, very old, my mother. Her godmother was Queen Victoria. That's pretty good.
Oh, that's pretty good. Come on,
That's a
drop
link
it,
with the
Nicky.
past.
Go with it now. You've got
You know, I'm
run with
finding
it,
out
bitch.
stuff I didn't know. I never dared ask Nicholas these
Well,
questions.
be free, Marianne. Be American.
Whoa.
We may not have put out, but we could ask the questions. God only gives you one orifice.
And you have to choose which
And we
one.
know which one we
You have to choose
specify.
which one, yes.
So anyway,
God gave me several.
So would Queen... Yes, and you worked them. So Queen Victoria, would she come over and give you little bibs and things?
Well, no, she was sort of gone by then. But
Little bibs.
Because we all know how old he really is. And so does that make you feel guilty because you made it on your looks? I mean, you made it in a notorious way. And, I mean, it's not as if you had years of grafting, you know, and hitting the thing, but when you're plucked like that to be this image, they pluck her image.
Learn on the job.
What?
It's called an on-your-feet education.
Right.
On your feet education.
You don't have a guilt that you know, do you ever feel that
you're not
because you were,
intelligent.
first they looked at you and then they said you could
Well,
sing?
She has.
I
She
do,
knows
yeah.
Shakespeare and all that. I don't know.
But I
never
learned
did.
afterwards. Then I sort of trained on the job.
But when you were singing, let's say it's, you know, whatever, as tears go by, you looked really nervous. I mean, are you thinking, I really don't know how to do this? Or are you
No,
thinking,
no,
what are you
no,
thinking?
that's just stage fright.
Right.
I knew how to do it. But, yeah, I did feel a bit weird because it wasn't the sort of singing I learned
What type of singing did you want to
classical.
do?
I learnt classical singing. They said I had a really pretty voice for Mozart and all that stuff.
Oh, so that's what you would have liked, to be in light
Well,
opera?
it's not what I would have
Pretty
liked,
good,
but
isn't it?
it's...
Pretty
I mean, I
voice.
would have liked it, I'm sure. But actually, I like what I do. I didn't choose to be a pop singer, but I'm glad I ended up liking it. What?
I mean, do you feel like you got something for nothing, or you got nothing for something, or...
Good Lord, no. I've paid.
Now you've paid.
In spades. And I sort of knew I would, you know,
You knew you would what?
pay.
Because? Did you think you got it too easy?
Well, it's probably the Catholic in you.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Well, she's Jewish, too. Can you imagine that lethal
We've got
combo?
loads of guilt here.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
guilt on the books there.
The guilt on the gingerbread.
You were so well educated. Why didn't you feel like just opening your... It's so interesting that in such a short time, I mean, you're talking about your childhood, that women have come, that we started off so recessed. Honestly, the 60s didn't liberate anybody. They actually made you crazy.
Well, I'm afraid I don't agree with
I
you.
don't
I
either.
think the
I think-
60s, and Anita and I particularly, even more than Germaine Greer or Susan Sontag, were actually in the front line of true liberation of women.
But I understand
Yeah,
that,
they
too.
were like technical more. and
They were
intellectual.
technical,
Yeah.
esoteric
kind of
theorists.
reading-
We were
reading
actually
about
doing
it.
it.
You were studying, but we were doing it.
But I
We were
feel
out
like
there
you weren't,
doing
I
it.
mean, you weren't using the men, because, I mean, just for my, can I
the
just...
men were
We
using
were
us.
free, almost free.
Well, how come I get the impression that
They've
when
got
I
a lot
read
to
about
say.
this stuff, that it was like you said that Mick and all of those guys, you know, whatever happened to them, would be out, you know, and you, the babes, the Dolly Birds then, were left in the house to kind of dress up and read
We
poetry
had
and
a
get...
great time.
All right, well,
And one of the
it
best
does seem
things that...
harem-like.
But they don't sound like neither of you two ever seem to have been victims. I mean, you might have had lots of unpleasant things happen to you. No, but not equal. I mean, neither of them come across as people who weren't equal with the men.
We were lucky to find each other, because what you said about being so well educated and all that stuff, I mean, a lot of the girls around at the time were really stupid. What happened? I mean, not that. What happened was that I really believed that what the Stones were doing was much more interesting and important than what I was
See,
doing.
but that's
But
low
why did that
self-esteem.
preclude you
Not
doing it as
necessarily.
well?
Because
No,
I
I thought
wanted
that could be
to. I
admiration,
wanted
too.
to.
You felt second best, so to speak.
No,
not
I
buying
wanted
that.
to be. I wanted to give all my energy to that. We were fascinated. It was
I
really
thought it was
interesting.
great. I thought if I work in the cinema, I never get paid. I always get hustled anyway. Have the lifestyle with the limousines, the cars, all that jazz that I really liked in those days. With them much better. So I
Yeah,
kind of
that's
dropped
true.
out and followed them around instead of, you know, just to have that kind of lifestyle, really.
Every time I talk to
That's
you,
control.
I sort of find out, I learn more too, and that's quite interesting because I don't know. We talk about this ourselves, of course, And we have very different attitudes to it, don't we?
No, I think we were a blessing to them.
Anita says that we were their teachers and they were our students and that we are light years ahead of them. She said that only the other day.
But you're obviously naturally infinitely more sophisticated than your partners at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's women always
that's
are
the bottom
when
line.
when you're young.
Women probably are, but I mean, also specifically, your backgrounds are a great deal more sophisticated than your partners.
They learned fast.
People can't believe what they were, though. I mean,
They were
the young can't believe the difference of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones made to the world. People just don't understand it anymore. It was
Oh, yes, they do.
absolute transformation.
It must have just
Oh,
been
yes, they do.
fantastically
Do you think
exciting
I don't think
lifestyle.
the young understand how much it was? I really don't.
No, they don't, because the young have
Changed
been,
the world.
but also the young nowadays have been brought up in a world of popular culture and rock music, which sort of didn't exist. And also that whole thing of how the young were important. I mean, before the 50s, young people weren't
You
important.
tried to look old. You tried to be like your parents.
But they're just, I mean, the important people were in their 40s and 50s, the people who ruled. And it was the first time, presumably, late 50s, early 60s, when youth felt they had any kind of control at all.
I met David Bailey, who was working for a photographer friend of mine, and he seemed so fascinating, being from the East End, different, completely odd, completely working class. It was so wonderful to meet somebody like that.
And that wouldn't have happened before.
No. David Bailey's book says he and I invented the 60s, by the way. In his book.
Well, we all like to think we did.
And I, of course, was just born in the 60s because I'm lying.
So you,
Yeah. I find it so fascinating that, let's say, Kate Moss, which is the next kind of rock chick generation, would go to you as advisors in a way. I mean, I know that you do hang out and to say, well, teach me, tell me, so I don't make the same mistakes. Isn't that kind of fascinating?
She doesn't actually say that.
I bet
She
you-
just likes us.
That's strange.
No, she is the godmother of my granddaughter, so that's our relationship.
I figured that one out.
Yeah, they're all kind of sisters and daughters and sons.
I mean, because potentially these women could go the same route you did.
I don't know what
No, they
that
wouldn't
was.
with us around.
Oh, wait,
They
you're-
won't. They'll learn how to get through.
So they are coming
But so
to
we
us.
learn that as well, so
We
it's the
had
same.
to learn, yeah. I mean,
She'll
they're
be
not.
richer than me, that's for
She's
sure.
a lot richer than. Yes, it's very. And they know how beautiful they are too, which is
Isn't
nice.
that interesting?
That's another thing, isn't it?
That's something we didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You didn't know that?
No, we didn't. We've talked about it.
Jesus, why
We
not?
just weren't. We were maybe too young, and maybe in those days.
But lots of people must be coming up to you and saying how beautiful
We
you
were
are. And you were on
terribly-
television.
Well, yeah, but that didn't mean anything.
But it meant a lot of people saw you, and they must have
Yeah.
then said, oh, you're so beautiful.
Well, an angel with tits is how you were defined. You
And
know
I
what I
didn't
mean?
know that till years
Well, you
later.
didn't read your autobiography? No, I know. Well, how did you think you were discovered? Because you were at a party and somebody said,
Because I
"Can
was
she-"
really talented. I'll tell you what I wanted. I wanted to get away from home as fast as possible.
Yes, that's
You
what
did
it's all
pretty well.
about,
Out of the
really.
house.
You did pretty
Out
well.
of the house,
Same with me and
out
David.
of school,
Same with me and David.
and I
Bowie.
wanted
Dad.
to start my life, living my life. So the first person who said, "Can I discover you? You're a this, you're a that," I said, "Fine."
You didn't
And
go,
off I
no,
went.
I want to go back to school now.
No.
Yes, I want to be a librarian.
Well, no, I knew I wanted to be a performer. I spent my whole childhood making up my stage name. I didn't know that Marianne Faithfull was the greatest stage name. I had a lot of alternatives.
What were your
That's right,
alternatives?
I can't, I mean,
Susie?
One.
They were very
One.
fancy. They were
One,
things
one.
like Natasha von Stroheim. I would use Sacher-Masoch a lot. They were very
And the
Sonia Sacher, things like that, sort of.
We'd come down to Sonia Sucker.
Yes, which actually is not a bad name.
Not a bad name. She would have been there faster. Do you think you were more fascinating when you were on drugs?
Yeah,
You were.
more interesting. Yeah.
Was she?
She's pretty fascinating. Well, she still is.
I do think it's very cool, very, very cool for Kate Moss to be the godmother
So do I.
of your
I
granddaughter.
know, that's a little spin.
God, that's cool.
Did you go to India with Kate?
Yeah.
And what did you do?
All kind of massaged each other, put makeup on.
As one does.
As one does.
Yeah.
Where'd you go, to the Himalayas?
No, we went to Rajasthan, a
Right.
beautiful castle, and did some trekking. We had a masseur with us, traveling with us, and a doctor.
And a doctor. For what reason?
Just he's the one that was.
Just in case.
John, during the 60s, wasn't that when you were a chauffeur in New York?
I beg your pardon, I was at school in the 60s.
Oh, well, you're
where did you
younger
get
than I
information
am.
from?
What?
It's really amazing.
Do you think I'm wrong? Were you a chauffeur?
I was a chauffeur.
All right, there you
I mean,
go.
in the 70s.
All right,
Mid-70s.
And tell us your claim to fame. Who was the last person you had in the back of the car? Come on, drop it. Kate Moss in India, slept with some of the Stones.
Okay, you
and
ready?
go for it now, John. Go.
Felipe, out of the Village People.
There you go.
Felipe was the Red Indian.
I remember him.
So do I. But Felipe hired me because at this stage they all loathed each other. And it was
Village
sort of,
People.
Yeah, and it was limo rage because he'd hired me in a Rolls Royce. All the others
Had you in a
had
Rolls Royce?
chance to be a fine thing. No.
Or did you say hired?
Hired.
Oh,
All the
saw that.
others
Lincoln.
had just normal stretches, and his manager, and he had me in a Rolls Royce to sort of upstage the others.
Ooh.
And all the others told the other limo drivers to sort of cut me up, and it was huge fun.
Wow, it's like the French Connection, but with homosexuals.
Not really, no.
No,
But
that wouldn't be
I
it.
get your
Too
drift.
clever.
But at the last minute, also the producer, Alan Carr, realised that the film was just one of the sort of 7 worst films of
But
all
they
time.
were all on coke. during
were
it.
they? Was that
Yeah,
it?
everybody was on coke.
But he suddenly said, we can't have it being gay at all. It's got to be family. So, and so I had to pick up Felipe's fiancée, who was
That's hard to say.
who was his manager's sister. And they met for the first time. I picked Felipe up, and then I picked his manager up at his house with the manager's sister, and they said, hello, pleased to meet you, I'm Felipe, I'm, man, whatever she was called.
my game.
Literally, 10 minutes later, I let them out, and they jumped out and talked to the press about how happy they were together and how they were getting married in a few weeks' time. And it was enormously impressive. And then I drove around the back, picked her up, took her home, got his boyfriend, dropped him round the back.
Wow.
But it was top fun.
Was that the highlight of your life, do you think?
God, that would be sad. That would be so sad if that was the highlight of my life. Yeah, just a little bit, in front of the birth of my children and things like that. No, it wasn't the highlight of my life.
He's just coming into hitting his stride.
No, he's had his peak.
No, I'm peaking, but I'm peaking late.
Peaking
admit.
late.
Now?
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm peaking in the next sort of 20 years. I hope, certainly hope.
He actually made Viz magazine what it is.
No,
you
I
know
didn't.
that. Well, we wouldn't have heard of
it-
Viz if it wasn't for you, would we?
I think we would, but I
Yeah,
mean...
but you're being cool.
No, I mean,
Well, you made your money
I am
on
being
it.
hugely immodest, obviously. But yes, I did make money out of it. But I mean, Viz was a huge
Out of the
success because
smut.
of the editors, and they are the. I mean, this sounds frightfully noble, but it's true.
Does actually.
All right, I'm being noble,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, it's hugely funny, and that's got nothing to do with me. I did have one editor. I made one editorial comment once after the first one I was involved in, which was 15 years ago, and I looked at it and I thought it was very. I rang up the editor, Chris Donald, and said I thought it was very bottomy. There's
Too many
too much about bottoms.
Oh, really?
and he
When
just-
you said bottomy, you meant...
I meant literally there was
When
too
we
much
say
stuff.
it's too bottomy, we mean it's too much bass.
No, I meant seriously bottomy. And he just went, oh, all right, you are coming from the north, as he does.
Coming from the north.
And in the next issue came out and I looked at it and there was a new character, which is called the Bottom Inspectors. And I've literally never opened my mouth since then about the inside.
But they always put you in the front, don't you, in the opening
Yeah.
flap.
Yeah.
What has he done to you? Didn't he do something?
He's just done, it says copyright John Brown Publishing, and it says in brackets, why not send John, why not fax John a drawing of your cock on his private line, which he put down. I had hundreds of them.
Did you know about the Village People when you were going out with the Stones?
No, I wasn't allowed.
What do you mean not allowed?
I wasn't allowed to listen to nothing else but Stones.
We're still
It was quite a
not.
lot later, isn't it?
They had rules?
Well, yeah, there was a lot of. I
But it-
missed it all. I missed everything. I missed almost all the punk. I missed punk because I was too stoned, probably, but I missed everything. Jimi Hendrix was my only one that I used
Well,
to
where were you that
run
you missed?
away.
We were at home listening to rough mixes of the Rolling Stones. They don't
I
think
hope
that
it was
word
worth
would-
it for the ride in the limo.
For me, no. At that point, it was like more for the drugs, I would say.
Really? Like at one point it went out of love and then it went in because you were...
Yeah, well, you get into that kind of catch-22. where
Drugs and love don't go
it
together.
chases its own tail, kind of.
Were you like a bad influence on Keith or was Keith a bad influence on you?
It just took one look, and that was it.
At the drugs
One
or
look.
Keith? What?
Keith. He said me or me and him.
What, to make you take drugs?
Yeah.
Doesn't really say great for keys.
But was the sex better with the drugs? Because I always thought it would slow you down a little bit.
No, it just stopped completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, they don't go together.
I would say sex, no, how does it go? Drugs and sex and
Rock and roll is the expression, Anita. I never thought I'd be telling her that. Especially as Anita.
She's not English.
The queen of, sex, drugs, and rock and roll is the
I would
expression.
say drugs, rock and roll, and sex.
Right. And then did the lawyer come in and say, I don't think you two are good for each other? And then from that moment you didn't see him?
No, we did, but kind
Sneakily?
of... No, not even. I was just drive up to a limousine and ask me for some drugs.
And that was the relationship. No nookie, huh? Guess Nook went out the window. But you had 2 kids with him, didn't you?
Yeah.
So where were the kids?
The kids were... my daughter was with his mother because we couldn't look after her anymore. And my son was with us. He went through the whole thing.
Wow, and he survived?
Yeah.
The son?
Yeah, he's here now.
So that son must have seen some sights?
Yeah, he definitely has.
Yeah.
He used to actually make little jokes of situations where like he'd make little piles of Ajax and leave them casually around the house.
That old gag.
And then all these people would like come, and then he'd have a little laugh.
As they passed out and their sinuses blew up.
Exactly. Carted off the hospital.
That kid had a sense of humor. The old Ajax gag.
Must try that at home.
No, but if I can say something, Marlon was the one who really had a great part in bringing Anita out of that. We were in Jamaica, and Marlon said, are you in NA? And I said, yeah, I am.
Narcotics Anonymous, I have to translate for the
Right.
viewers, yeah.
And he said, and how long have you been clean? Have you stayed clean? And I said, yes, I'm very proud of myself. 2 years. And he said, will you call Anita and tell her that? And I think it was brilliant because he knew us so well, both of us, and he knew that we were in always slight loving competition. And I don't know, I mean, it just worked.
I mean, do you remember when you were at the lowest, like scrapping around for heroin and things? Do you remember?
In Long Island.
French.
What was that? Was
I
that
remember
like
when
the
you
worst?
took my drugs. I came out to see her in Long Island for Christmas, and I brought a little stash with me, and I had it in my
You got
bag.
through customs?
No, I was in America.
Oh, right, okay.
I was in New York. Anita was in Long Island. I drove out to see her for Christmas, and I had a stash with me. My dear, I turned round for a second, and that stash was gone, and it was gone up her nose.
But did it get really scummy? I mean, like, was it kind of like crawling around in the streets?
Scummy as it could be.
Yeah, because I mean, you get your buzz from at the end. At least for me, I got my buzz from scoring, not from getting high.
What do you mean, the challenge of getting the next thing?
Yeah, to go to
The
Lower East
danger.
Side and go to,
The horror.
dangerous situations and
Will I get
hanging
killed
out with
this
the Puerto
time?
Ricans and all that
If you
stuff.
hugely enjoy, I mean, you took a lot of drugs and you got your kicks out of scoring, what do you do for fun now? I mean, how did you replace both of those?
Yeah, because that's high octane, isn't it?
yeah.
It's, you're playing
Yeah.
at a high...
It's different phases, different things,
That's why you go to
Gardening? Oh, Anita, how the mighty have sloped off.
Not at all. Gardening,
No,
the
I
new
know.
sex and all that.
Gardening.
And sex.
cooking.
Nicky, how do you get your kicks now? You like a bit of danger. Why are you wearing the S&M pants with the chains hanging off you?
We're talking about
S&M,
village
it's very
people.
old-fashioned of you.
If only they could see you.
Yeah,
Everybody
he's
wears
got
leather
chains
pants these
and the
days.
keys on the left, which signify it, isn't it? Well, you know the
Are
village
they on the
people.
right, in
On
fact?
the right.
Does that mean you take it or you give it?
Aha, that's the secret.
I always wanted to know. When you
Yeah.
go to clubs, I know one of them gets it and one of them
It'll
gives
take
it.
far
Red
longer than that
scarf
to get
as
that
well,
out.
Yeah.
Those little handkerchiefs.
Yeah. So
What?
if you could tell us the symbol of your keys today, we would appreciate
It's
it.
just that I lose them all the time.
Oh,
so,
bullshit.
Yeah, I lose them all the
Some
time. It's the
people,
only way I
are there
can keep
scenes
them.
that you remember of each other that you still talk about?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, are we talking swinging from the chandeliers naked or beyond?
No, it's just like stealing the dope from my bag. There was that Ozzie Clark suit, the snakeskin suit that you
Not
nicked.
that you think I nicked.
Should we just leave that now?
Start arguing. I never nicked it.
did.
I saw
You
it in
borrowed
a
it.
sale.
You borrowed
in
it.
Oh, come on, you
Tolkien's.
nicked it.
Borrowed
Did you
it.
nick it from her, from the shop?
No, I never nicked it from her. I borrowed it maybe
Borrowed
for a
the
while.
jacket.
but I never had it ever.
Well, then who nicked it from you?
I
How can
don't
we
know.
get it
I
back?
saw it in
Kate Moss.
Tolkien's.
Kate Moss took it. It's got to be.
We did a lot of that. I mean, there's things of hers that I borrowed and things of
Did any of the Stones ever say, let's do a three-way the way they did a performance?
I knew that she was going to
I
ask
did, wasn't
this.
even planning it. It's not on my list anywhere.
I think it's
Well,
just
let me
amazing
tell
it took
you.
half an hour.
Let me tell you, once Anita and I were in Redlands on acid, and we were just about to sort of get it together, or might have been, possibly, when, and this is something I'd forgotten, so I forgot to put it in my book, and then Anita reminded me, and what happened was Mick and Keith walked in, and that was that.
How close,
And Mick said, let's jump in, and Keith says, no way. That's the difference between the two of them.
Yeah.
well, there...
I don't want to change subject, but
No, don't change subject. How could you change subject? If you go back to the village people, I'm going to ask you to leave.
She's
Two women about
listen.
to have sex. It's not in the book, and it's you.
You're prolonging it. She's just eaten a grape,
Yeah,
and she's
she
peeled the
peeled
skin
it.
and eaten the skin and
Yes.
put the grape down. Now, that is interesting. Now, back to
Peeling
sex.
the grapes.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
really
right.
sorry.
You peel it
I
for
know I've done
someone
it.
else.
If you
Don't
had
you want to
gone
know
on, it would
were
have
they
taken
about
half
to
a
have
second,
sex
and we'd
with
be
their
we'd be
tongues?
in the middle of the
Don't you
sex
Body
now.
language, look at that. Peeling the grape and
Anyhow,
eating
she
the
said nothing
skin.
happened.
Well, I know, but you want to know what the...
Okay.
You do want to know. That's why you haven't got a show. I mean, would you say, being honest, that you're having a better time now than you did then? Be honest.
I'm having a better time now.
Are you? Only because you know where you are?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's no envy to say, oh,
No, I've done it, so what's
you've
the
done
point?
it. And what would you say, Marianne? Would you say, I mean, I know now you're at your peak, but what was the happiest time then? Was there a moment before you tried to kill yourself that you thought,
yeah. I mean,
I clearly wasn't after you tried to kill yourself.
or maybe during while I was
things
trying
must
to
have
kill
not been
myself.
totally pleasant because you tried to kill yourself with...
Well, I think that was a lot to do with Brian's death, which was a big shock, but also to do with playing Hamlet, playing Ophelia. I believe that
Yeah,
playing
you really
Ophelia
got
every
into the
night
role, I remember
really
that.
took its toll.
And on heroin.
And she was a method acting. And
Method
on
acting
heroin.
big time.
Yeah.
And you
Some
were-
of us had to fuck Mick Jagger for method acting, and some of us had to want to kill themselves.
There we
Depends
go.
on your part.
Oh, my God.
you were on
Let's think
heroin.
about that. And she's on
Well, I
heroin.
used to take a little line of heroin just before the mad scene.
A
So it's
little line.
methadone acting.
Methadone
No, I
acting,
wasn't
yeah.
on method. No,
But can I just ask a question? Did you ever screw up the lines, or it was...
it's not.
No. Did you ever slow down the lines? I mean, did the
No,
other...
I was
She
perfect.
did,
She was
have many
perfect.
lines.
And so
It's not
that...
Exactly.
I can understand her charm.
And what it really helped me, because one of the things they used to do,
If anyone
this
is going to
happens-
RADA, please just turn off your television set now.
and no, listen,
Oh.
what they used to do, some of the
Who is
actors,
that?
like the
Nicole
woman
Williams.
who played the Queen,
Who was
and
playing Gertrude?
Judy Parfitt. And a lot of people, I mean, it's just normal acting stuff that happens. When you've got your back to the audience, the whole of the mad scene, they would have their back to the audience. And I was the only one facing the audience. And they would try to make me laugh.
That's
Yeah,
a normal
they do
thing.
that. Yeah.
But because I had just taken a line of heroin,
Was it...
I couldn't even see it. It just went right past me. And
Well,
so
so
I,
they just thought you didn't have a sense of humour.
and I now think that was quite lucky, because you
you
can't
do,
burst
at least you
out
didn't
laughing
corpse.
in the mad scene. It's
No,
not
better
gonna
to
work.
take heroin.
I'm just saying
We
that
don't all have a
on,
mad scene to take it in.
when I look back, that was quite a good moment, because at least I didn't corpse.
Right. And the bad news? You became an addict.
Yeah.
Just, you know, we
Yeah,
just
that's
want
the
to
bad
keep both
news.
sides.
And I committed suicide.
Don't you think it's a show? It's, yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of this.
And
she
then
tried
I
to
tried
take
to kill myself.
150 two anoles, which,
Yeah.
can I just ask, when you're doing that, like, there's one, there's
Yeah,
two.
you'd fall asleep
How long
halfway
does
through.
150 take?
Quite
You
a
go
long
like that?
time.
Are all like this?
No, I took them one by one.
But how do you
And
know
I
it was
remember that
150?
halfway through,
Count
I
it.
thought, this is taking
It's a
ages.
script.
I can't stand this. I need something to help me get these damn things down. And I rang room service and asked them to send up some hot chocolate.
That might go down better with hot chocolate. Yeah.
Then I started taking handfuls.
Were you feeling sorry for yourself?
No, I was mad.
You were mad. Did you want to die, or did you
Yes,
just
I
want
would,
to get...
yeah, absolutely. And you don't, that's not a cry for help.
No.
I think I was trying for a spot of seriously childish revenge.
Yeah. Because nobody paid enough attention to his
Or maybe
death?
they didn't pay enough attention to me.
But then that was a cry. I mean, that was it wasn't a serious desire to die. Well, it might have been as well, but that, it was sort of...
I remember thinking, when I finish this,
That'll
show you.
And also, she had just done Ophelia. See the tie-up?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't throw yourself down a stream.
I tried. I tried to open, not throw myself down the stream, but much more serious. By the time I thought of it, I was already very groggy from the sleeping pills. But we were in a hotel like 80 floors up. And I tried to open the windows.
I thought you opened it and you threw pills out the window as well.
I don't think I could get it open.
Had you gotten it open, would you have jumped out the window?
So, yeah.
Did you plan it? I mean, did you think of it days before? It was just on the spot?
No.
Well, how'd you have 152 in all?
Because I was going to Australia for 3 months.
And did Mick at that point say, I think this has got to end? He was making a film.
No, he didn't say that.
Well, did he want to know why you tried to kill yourself? Was it ever discussed?
He knew. He's not stupid. He knew it was all too much for me.
Was that like the end? Was that like the finale?
I didn't know it was, but a few months after that, or maybe even, no, wait a minute, a year after that, in fact, it ended. Yeah, I think that's quite a clear message, isn't it?
Do you ever wish you would have kept your mouth shut and married the guy?
Yeah.
No, you weren't right to be a wife. I don't think.
No, well, I'm not the marrying kind.
How many times have you been married?
3 times.
Exactly.
Have you? I don't know.
Incredible.
Anita never got married.
I never got
Didn't you marry Keith?
Never.
Oh, I thought you did.
No.
Did he ask to marry you?
Several times, yeah.
And you said no?
I said no.
Do you wish you did? Because you could have had a lot of alimony,
No.
too.
I'm quite happy.
Are you?
Not being married.
Did you remember when Bailey took her picture? Because what was it?
Well, it was an article in the Saturday Times. But what he did was use that, you know his great pictures of the Krays and all the East End characters. There's a certain kind of film, I think it's a medical kind of film. And he put that in and took it, and it means that every scar and blemish, and it was a horrible picture. I did not really like it.
Of your face or your body?
Everything.
Are you have no clothes on?
No, I have my...
Bra and panties.
Gosh, don't pretend you don't know.
No, I
know.
didn't know for a minute, and then I did know, to be
I don't
honest.
know. What?
She's in her bra
not
and underwear.
the greatest picture, but, you know, it was a...
Where do we see this picture?
We don't. If you
Okay.
ever
All
want
legs
to talk to
destroyed.
me
All
again.
right, all
I
right,
see
no.
it as an art statement. It's it's a very positive picture.
Yeah, well, I
Best friend.
don't think
Best
so.
friend.
Best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
it's
no.
really for even
Well,
for
why did you let him
Bailey.
do
Love
it?
some coffee.
For Bailey, he does those arty kind of
know.
things.
Yeah, well, he made
with
Jerry
the,
Hall look pretty good.
Grin, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind
you
of,
should ask for the Jerry lens.
You see,
Who's
there is
Jerry
a
Hall?
part of me that also understands what he was trying to do. It's something to do with the beautiful and the grotesque.
But you're not grotesque.
Well, wait a minute. The beautiful and the grotesque are very close together, like love and hate. This is my rationalization. Let me air it.
All right, air.
The beautiful and the grotesque are very close together. What attracts us and what repels us is very connected. And I thought that's what he was going to do. That's what he was doing with this photograph. I'm not sure if that's really what he was doing. I think it was just Bailey wanting to score. And
mean, get
rather
something outrageous.
misogynistic. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But in fact, maybe one day it'll be considered.
Exactly,
It'll be an
that's the
interesting.
way I
That's what
see
it.
it, yeah.
Because Anita's had to deal with me freaking out and having tantrums.
It's
Can
probably
you say I'm not allowing this out?
Yeah.
Can you
I
say
have.
it? Well, then
I mean,
say it.
Francois has. And
Right.
Bailey, to give him credit, has not put it out anywhere else.
Well, where was it? I mean, so it's
it
out
was
somewhere.
It was in
Full
the
page.
paper.
But he
once.
probably did it to be interesting. I mean, if it had
Yes,
been,
yeah,
if it had been a really
exactly.
nice
That's what
picture
I
of you,
mean.
we wouldn't be talking about it here.
No,
Yeah.
no, exactly. And he had taken one of the most beautiful pictures of me at 17. So he didn't want to repeat that. I can see that.
Yeah, did he go, oh, I love it, I love it. Oh, come on, give it to me, give it to me.
I really adore him.
Show it to me, show it to me, baby.
He does do it.
And I'm
Go for it.
very easy to...
Does he actually do
That's
that?
it, darling.
Yeah, it does.
That's it,
Yeah.
darling.
Like in Austin
darling all the
Powers.
time.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I rang him up after I saw the picture and said, tell me the truth now. Are you just trying one on, or is this a misogynistic picture?
Or like he's going to know what that means.
He said he didn't know what misogynistic meant.
I knew.
But I don't believe that. I believe he does know. I believe he was just pretending to be stupid.
Who's going to play you when they make the film of you?
Well, I would like...
For what?
Gwyneth Paltrow. That's who I'd vote for.
Well, that's been mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in which part of your life?
She would age gracefully.
It goes quite a long span. Gwyneth Paltrow has been mentioned. A lot of people have been mentioned. Uma Thurman, Michelle Pfeiffer, lots of people. But
Pfeiffer
I
would have
would
tricky
like
times at 17.
I would like Kate Blanchett.
Because?
Because she's such a good
Real.
actress.
She's
All the
more
people
real
I've
as
mentioned
well.
are very good actresses, but I believe that Kate Blanchett is an exceptionally good actress. Not just a good movie actress, but I've seen her on stage.
Yeah, she's wonderful. And who would play her?
That's a fabulous... I don't know.
Who would play her?
I think a really great European
Italian.
actress. Somebody...
I don't want an American accent.
No,
Do
she
you
doesn't.
get to say who's going to play you?
No, I don't get to say anything for the moment.
And who would play Mick?
I don't know.
Who do you think? Who do you think?
Lee Evans. So what's it called?
This is a game that everybody
Lee
wants
Evans.
to play. Casting the movie.
God, how strange is it going to be to see yourself on portrayed?
And how do you know they'll do it correctly? I mean, it just might be sex orgies of you and Marianne almost having sex and then John Brown interrupting me about a stupid rape
I've learned
story.
to regret that.
Well, one of the ways I can make sure that it's not just going to be that is that my best friend Frank McGuinness is writing the
Oh,
scripts.
very good. Well, there we have a hold on it. That's
Yes.
very good. Well, the book was fantastic, and he had to do with that.
No, he wrote the preface.
Preface, that's right.
Yeah.
No,
but
that'll
yeah, Frank, you know, that song you like, Electra from
Yeah.
Vagabond Ways, Frank wrote that.
be... Right.
And I wrote a bit of it. But
Have you seen any of the script?
Yeah, I've seen all of it. A script, I'm going to feel like I did when I was explaining Grotesque and Beautiful, but I'm going to say this anyway. A script in its first draft is so fragile that if we talk about it too much, we will blow it away.
Bad luck.
Yeah.
And it is bad luck,
Yeah.
too.
All right.
So we have to wait until until we see the movie,
Yes.
if it gets made.
What's it called?
And then,
I said she dances with, what did I call it?
no, it's called,
She
at the
dances with
moment,
blood.
It's a beautiful
it's a
title,
wonderful title. It's
which is
called
fantastic.
Because I Would Not Stop for Death.
That's
Oh,
fantastic.
that's good.
title. I mean, that
It's an
already
Emily
is,
Dickinson poem, as you know.
Hey, there's
The
a-
Americans are going to have to shorten
there's-
it to Wouldn't Stop.
You can't. It's got to be. You can hardly shorten
Stop
it from
death.
the whole line. Because I
As
would
tears
not
go
stop
by,
for death.
babe.
Death
It
kindly
would-
stopped for me.
B-O-D...
Wow, I can see why those guys got into you.
Look at the smile.
No, because it's just acid on legs, isn't it? It's just wild. Would you say that either one of you are good mothers?
I think Anita's a good mother.
Well, I don't know. I just try to be as
mother's
honest
really good.
and
No mother's really good.
sincere. And
What I love, I'm sorry,
don't
what
think
I
you.
love is that they both have very straight... God went down and said, what should we give them as children? And you have a financial analyst, and your daughter is a gardener?
No, my son is a graphic designer.
Designer, and yours is a financial analyst.
So presumably that's...
Don't you think that's
It's
funny?
rebellion.
It's
For
rebellion.
them, yeah.
Isn't it true
That's
that
what it
David
is.
Bowie's son changed his name from Zoe to Gary?
Every time I'm on a roll! Get off, leave this
I
table
swear I
now.
won't say another word. Please can I stay?
Why did I invite him? I need my daughter, I need a lift to her new school. He lives across the street.
It's a
He's
small
bought a
price
big
to
car,
pay.
and now he's ruined the show. Thank you very much. There's very few children that will have such groovy mothers ever in the history of the world.
And very few mothers who have such compassionate children.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
More distinguished dinner guests for Ruby tomorrow at 11:20. Seinfeld's up next, and he's loaded.